Okay, guys, so the video you've all been waiting for is my journey. So, where did I start and how did I get to the position I am today? So, I was in high school as a senior, and my friend who was in IML, which most of you guys shouldn't know, or if you don't know, it's basically like a network marketing company which sells their trading course. Basically, my friend recruited me, so he gets a commission, and he recruited me into IML. And that was my first time getting into the markets. So this was senior year in high school, and that was the first time being introduced to Forex. I was 17 at this time. So when I started, I was obviously fooled by all these Instagram influencers showing their Lambos and all their profits of them being rich through trading, and I thought, oh, that could be me. I could be rich by the end of next year. And of course, that's not how it works. So when I first joined IML, I would study from their course. I remember the first educator I studied from was a lady named Lee Allen, and she taught indicators. And then after a couple of months, I quit. I was like, I'm not doing this. This is not for me. And then my friend convinced me to join back again. I joined back with another educator, which was Christopher Derrick. I watched a guy named Teacup. I forgot his name. Lou Teacup. Um, I've watched a lot of educators, Leon Davies for a couple of months, and I've switched educators for like I'll be on one educator for a couple of months, and then I would switch educators after seeing it's not my strategy was not working, and then after like 2 years, not 2 years, maybe a year and a half of being in IML, I lost. I would say, well, I was in high school. I didn't have much, but $1,000 was a lot to me, and I think I lost $1,000 in my first year, and I was paying like 175 for a monthly subscription. So I was definitely not learning nothing. I was just basically paying this company to teach me how to trade from traders who don't even make money from trading. Most of these educators were making money from selling, from being in that platform, from teaching something that they're not even profitable in, which is crazy. Because I would look at these educators now, and some of them are not even some of them don't even trade anymore. So that's just crazy. It showed how much they're a fraud. And then I quit IML after a year and a half, and I joined SMT, which is Tim Trades. Oh no, what happened was I joined, and then I was in college and I joined QBanks. I paid a lot for that course, man. 775 or something like that, like 700. I saved up for it because I saw QBank's Instagram. Oh, he had the Lambos, he had everything, and I thought, oh, this course will be the holy grail. I bought that course, and let's just say that it was not in my favor. I'll just keep it at that. I'll keep it in a nice way. It was not in my favor. Um, then after Q Banks for a couple of months, I went to, and by this time I've spent like thousands of dollars, and I don't come from money, so I was working a job. I was doing catering to pay for these courses. I was doing Uber Eats, and then after a year and a half, I dropped out of my first semester. I dropped out of the first semester in college to do trading full time, or whatever you want to call full time. So I dropped out. I went to India for a year. Let me write it down here. First year was in high school till first semester of college. Went through like five different educators, and then in college did QBanks. I'm not gonna write QBanks. Did his course. Then I almost joined another course called this guy named Nick. All of these people are great marketers. Almost joined his course. It was like $1,000, and they were like telling me you could do a payment plan. And I was about to do it, but then I found SMT. So after I dropped out of college, my first semester of college, and I went to India to study the markets for a year, and I would spend the moment I wake up to the moment I slept, I'll be on the markets, or I would either be listening to personal development from Jim Rohns or any of those people. And looking back at it now, that's a complete waste of my time. I should have I should have been focusing on these prop firm challenges, focusing on getting capital, and focusing on building compounding my account. But back then I didn't know better because I didn't have anyone I didn't have anyone's blueprint to follow. I created this blueprint for myself. I created this blueprint that's in this course. This course blueprint was created by me. I did not have anyone to look up to. So I spent years doing stuff that I shouldn't have done, that if I had knew now with what I know now and I first started, man, I would save so much money and I would have saved so much time. So the second year I dropped out and I spent 7 months in India studying these markets, and I would learn from an educator named Levi, who was who first introduced me to ICT concepts. It was Levi, and then after Levi, after a couple months, I watched all his videos. I then moved into SMT. I went back to IML because there was a group called SMT, which was the mentor was Tim Trades, which I don't know if you guys know. So Tim Trades, I stayed in his group for a couple months, and then there was another guy. There was an educator in SMT. Wait, India, and then 30 second year India, and then there was another educator in SMT, and his name is Gene, and that's where I met Gene, one of my two technical analysis mentors. That's where I met Gene, and I left SMT to join Gene's private Discord group. There I learned technical analysis, and I learned a lot. And then it was at the second year where I no towards the end of the second year where I found about prop firms. And when I found out about prop firms, no one around me was doing prop firms. Literally, I told my boy I was doing this prop firm thing, and I don't know if it's a scam or not. And it was FTMO. This was in 2020. You won't find anyone in 2020 with a funded account. Very rare. And it was not popular back then. And I took the risk to do this prop firm because it sounded reliable. It sounded cool how if I do this challenge and I pass it, they'll give me 100K, they'll give me 50K. So that's when I first started doing. That's where I first discovered FTMO, and that was the only prop firm I knew at the moment. And I think that was the only prop firm around at that moment. Not too sure. Anyway, I did FTMO. I did my first 10K. I did my first 10K challenge, and I failed that. And all I had left in my account was $350. And I still remember this. I had $350 in my bank account, and I put that all into a 50K FTMO challenge. And after 3 months, I took my time with it. I stayed patient. I passed it. My second challenge was a 50K challenge, and I passed it. I don't know how. Oh, I know how. Because I was having a good season at that time. So, like I mentioned in this course, there are seasons in trading. I've been in many educators, even the great traders, they all have seasons. There are times when their trading accuracy is very high for a couple of weeks, a couple of months, and then next month it'll be okay, and then next month it'll be bad, and then the next month it'll be great. There are seasons in trading. So it was a good season. I passed that 50K challenge and verification, and I got my funded account. And then the third year, after that 50K, I think 4 months later, I was still in Gene. I've been in Gene's Discord for. I'm not in it currently right now, but I've been in it since 2020, mid 2020. So Gene and ICT are my top two technical analysis coaches, but that's who I learned my technical analysis from. But after a while, it's all psychology, and I know you probably heard this all the time. It's psychology, and people think, oh, it's if you had good technical analysis accuracy, you'll be profitable, but that's not the truth. It all comes down to having a great system and having proper trading psychology and not letting your emotions get to you and your greed and impatience. And these are all developed through experience. Me telling you this is not, yeah, it'll be in the back of your head. So when you do make these mistakes, you'll remember. But through experience, you will learn all these advice that I'm giving and why it's really, really important. So the third year, what was it? Third year was what? 2021. Oh yeah, so I made my first 10K from that 50K account. And I gambled it. I made that in 1 week because I was also following Sean Lee, and not third year. It was more like the beginning of third year. I was in Brooklyn, and so I was following Sean Lee on Instagram, and he would give out signals, and then, and on IG, everyone used to think of him as like a god, Sean Lee. If you don't know who that is, he's probably, I don't know where he is right now. He's not on social media, but everyone used to see him as a god. And I remember once, and then I remember for one trade, I over leveraged on one of the trades, and I made 10K on just one trade that he sent on his Instagram. And that was my first 10K withdrawal. My first 10K withdrawal. I have never seen 10K in my bank account. And 10K for my family is a lot. Is a lot of money. I don't come from middle class. I come from a lower income class. So 10K was a lot. And the first 10K I ever made, my first 10K felt 10 times better than making my first six figures. Because the moment I made 10K, the moment I withdrew 10K and hit my bank account from FTMO, I was like, holy shit, this actually works. This can actually work. It gave me a sign of hope. After 2 years of blowing accounts, losing so much money, I was like, oh my God, this actually works. And that gave me hope, and that was the best feeling ever, that first 10K. And then the third year, and then what happened was a week after I made 10K, I put it all into Hugo's Way, which is an unregulated broker, and I lost all of that in a week because I was gambling. I wasn't really trading, I was gambling. And it happens because I didn't have no one to really teach me the proper trading psychology. And then the third year, after that, I blew my funded account, my 50K funded account, and I blew my broker, my Hugo's Way. I put all that 10K profit into Hugo's Way, and I blew all of that, so I was back from scratch. So I had to get a job. I worked as a doorman. No, first job I worked in Uber Eats to pay rent, to pay for the challenges. And then after a while, I got a new job as a doorman. And I went back to college because I had lost hope, man. When you're in my position, when you spend a whole year on this and you put so much money into it, and then you just blow your funded account and blow all your money in your bank account. That 10K, that's all I had in my bank account, and I blew everything. I was back from scratch. I was also, I lost everything. When I mean I lost everything, I lost everything. I had nowhere to go. My parents lived in India. They don't live in America anymore. When I graduated high school, they went back to India. So I had nowhere to go when I was back, and I was couch surfing my friend's house. I lived with my best friend for 2 months in his house on the floor. So yeah, you could. So my only option was college now because I had lost hope for everything, and then I was doing college full time. I was working as a doorman for 36 hours a week, and I was also training for a marathon and Ironman, which is basically a triathlon. And I had no social life for the third year. My third year, I spent 1 year. I spent 1 year with no social life. I mean, I would meet my friend, like my best friends, like maybe once a month type thing, or maybe once every 3 months. I was in monk mode. I even shaved my head. I was in monk. I don't even know why I shaved my head. I was in monk mode, literally monk mode. No Instagram, no nothing, no social media. I was literally just school, make food, work, go to the gym, days off, study for my test, do my homework, do laundry, make food, meal prep, repeat. It was just repeat same thing over and over again. It was very stressful and very hard my third year. I was down bad, man. I was not in a good mental state, but all that money I made from my doorman job, I paid rent, and the excess went to challenges. And that's when I kept doing challenges over challenges, and I blew them. I kept blowing my challenges. I kept blowing verification. I tried rushing the process. And it was actually through this where I learned and gained a lot of knowledge. Because when you lose a lot, when you're in a losing streak, that's where you gain the most. And it was in this phase where I learned about how to actually get proper trading psychology. So towards the end of the third year, I finally passed. I finally passed some challenges. I finally got funded. And this was after like 30, 40 challenges. Literally, my life was work, school, gym, and all the money I had went to challenges. It was like either I was gonna make it or I was gonna freaking Forex was the only thing in my that gave me hope. Forex was literally me being successful in this was the only thing giving me the desire to live, the desire to look forward towards the future, me knowing that I will be successful through this. So whenever I blew the challenges, I was like, I don't care. I am gonna make this happen. All I need is that funded account. And then by the end of the third year, I got my 400K funded account after like 40, 30, 40, 50 challenges I've done. And then I got my accounts. And then my fourth year it's this year, 2022. And that's where I received all my accounts and I started managing it. And I started after 6 months, I withdrew. After 6 months of just compounding my account, I withdrew my first profits, which was I think like 40 something K. And then with that, I got more accounts, I bought more challenges, and then I became seven figure funded. And my trading psychology was at its peak. My discipline was at its peak. My everything was at its peak because I completed my goals of becoming an Ironman and running a marathon as well. The third year, I literally spent on working on my goals. It's all business. No fooling around, nothing. No smoking, no drinking. Just work, school, gym, and hitting these goals. And then my fourth year was when the seeds I planted in my third year, that's when the seeds grew. And that's when I became seven figure funded. I generated 175K in profits thus far. Um, and now my trading psychology and all these experiences I gained from these past 4 years have been what has made me the trader today. So that's why I always say you need experience in this game. You're not going to be rich in the first year because you're not going to gain much experience in the first year. It'll take a couple of years for you to actually become a consistently profitable trader. And this course will also give you value and cut your learning curve. If I truthfully had this course when I first started with the blueprint given and everything and just following exactly what's on this course, I would have been successful much earlier. But at least I found this success, and it's cool how I'm paving the path. I literally discovered the path, and now I'm showing the path to other traders, and that's the cool part. So third year, just work, school, gym, and then I was down what negative 1K with everything, with education and everything, and then this one I was like down negative 3K I think, because I didn't have much, I wasn't working. And then third year was when I was down 30, 40K. And I also used so you might think 30, 40K, where'd you get 30, 40K from? Well, work. Also, like I said, I got 10K, which from the payout, and I also got unemployment. Was it unemployment? No, not unemployment. It was something. Stimulus? Was it stimulus? Stimulus is something, and I put that all into the challenges, and I failed that too. Seven figure funded. Seven figure funded. Six figures in withdrawals. What else I got? And yeah. And then my fifth year, which is the upcoming 2023 year. So currently, my goal right now is to get 2 million in funding, and that will be the foundation for my fifth year. In my fifth year, I'm not expecting to become a millionaire because then I'll start rushing the process. I just want to I trust my system. I'll just stick to my systems. But I know my 50, I'll be making multi six figures as long as I have that foundation of having 2 million in prop firm accounts. So that is like a brief overview of my journey. And I hope you gain some insight, and I hope you can see how this is a very, very tough industry to become successful in, and it'll require a lot of years, a lot of money spent, a lot of sacrifices. So that's it for my journey. I hope you learned something. Catch you in the next video.